All right. This is the gig of a lifetime, scoring TV and film, and we have the best of the best sitting right here behind me.
And on his own, he's done such films as When a Stranger Calls and Obsessed, and last year he won an Emmy for the great TV show, which was unfortunately canceled, Pushing Daisies. Nathan Barr started at a very young age, at the age of 4 in Japan. His credits include the Dukes of Hazzard film, Beer Fest, Club Dread, and the hit TV show right now, True Blood, which we just won an Emmy nomination for.
Nice.
Wendy Melvoin and Lisa Coleman, better known as Wendy and Lisa, originally recognized for their 80s rock career alongside Prince.
Hey, you're good.
John Ottman is a triple threat. He's been a director, an editor, and a film composer. Maestro Christopher Young has scored over 100 films, including Spider-Man 3 and upcoming Spider-Man 4.
You've got to have a love of storytelling, of narrative. You have to be some form of cinephile. You have to understand the craftsmanship.
And it isn't always writing music.
No.
I don't know
that's right. Yeah, I was just going to say it's not just about music ever. It's always in service of picture. And I got into this because I love movies so much. I wanted to be in movies no matter what. And music was my way in and my contribution to the storytelling process. But if you don't absolutely love movies or TV or whatever it is, don't do it. It's not. If you just want to be a composer, then I wouldn't be doing TV or film. It's way too much of a hassle.
And you'll get fired constantly because
it's very difficult.
If you're
How do you establish this relationship? What makes it, besides doing a good job, how do you feel you continue on with this director? The question is to all of you.
You can just put up with each other, really. You can stand to be in the room as they tell you your music sucks or something's really good. It really is about, and that goes back to you saying, like, it's not just about the compositional skill. It's about being able to work with very difficult people who cannot articulate about music well at all and understand when they say something to you that sounds completely outrageous, has nothing to do with music. I've been working with a director right now, producer, who keeps telling me to make the music more ironic. And in the context of this movie, it makes no sense at all. And so I've had to figure that out. And it's just about, I think it's about finding the balance between holding on to what you believe is best for their movie or their TV show, and at the same time giving them enough that they also feel like it's best, because oftentimes you don't feel like you're on the same page. So Broken Lizard guys, yeah, we've just worked together enough. We have a language. We understand each other. We have a dialogue going on. We also socialize together, and I think it's really about that for me.
I was going to say the same thing, but it's also like just even the musicians we hang out with. It's like, if I want to hang this guy after 2 minutes because he won't shut up, it's like, that's it. We have, in the studio, like studio etiquette, it's like it kind of water finds its level and people find each other.
Just always been my philosophy. You just say yes, to everything. I don't mean that in a cheeky way,
but there are some famous examples recently of composer-director relationships that have blown up, and I think it's ultimately it becomes an ego thing, I think, on some level, and one of you has to back off at some point, and I know that in a couple of cases that hasn't happened recently, and so there's been a huge shift between those relationships.
There's a few things. Can I I'm always dropping in here. A couple things, or three things on the subject of directors. One is, of course, as we've seen, so many successful composers, big A-listers became A-listers because of the repeated callbacks from directors with whom they developed relationships with. Tim Burton and Danny Elfman. We have Howard Shore and what's his name?
Fincher.
What's that?
David Fincher.
David Fincher. Yourself. Yep.
Spielberg and John Williams.
Help me out here. There's John Williams, of course, Steven Spielberg.
Just to get the emotion, what does a temp mean to you?
Depends on how badly you want that gig.
Yeah. But I'll just say something really quick about True Blood. I got that. I got into the room for a meeting because they temped in my score to Hostel, and they had it. I watched the pilot before I went in for the meeting, And they went into the meeting. They said, we really like the way your hostel score is working as temp. And I just thought, I'm just going to be totally honest with them. So I said, I'm really flattered that you guys like that, but it doesn't work at all in your show. And they loved that. And so that was a perfect example. And the situation was right. Alan Ball's the kind of guy who's open to lots of suggestions. So the situation was right where I literally threw out their temp, which wasn't my stuff, and started from scratch with a completely different sound. And that worked to my benefit. But I think everyone can agree that temp is every composer's worst nightmare. And I mean, it can be a valuable tool, but it's so often abused.
It's difficult because, and I think you guys can agree with this too, there's a lot of situations where they'll say, we have this movie and we've temped it with, the first thing that comes to mind is, either Peter Gabriel's The Passion, right?
American Beauty.
Yeah.
American Beauty, the score.
American Beauty, Tommy Newman, or, Shawshank Redemption, everything. So they say to you before you've done something, do you have something in your library that you've done that's this? Right. And then you say, well, yes, you can say that, but ultimately what you really want to say, and I have begun to say now, is your film hasn't been scored yet. I haven't scored this.
I'll be quick. I just love movies so much, and I love music so much, and there is in my day, going from what I love to do most, working and, like, for example, I'll spend all day writing, and then what do I want to do more than anything else at night? Go and see a movie. So, like, I get to actually work and create in the thing I love the most in my life. And they bury me in a theater, go to eternity watching movies, and this is my contribution to movies. So, for me,
we'll bury you in a theater. I'm morbid, and for me, I can bring it back to what Chris said. It's like there was a time when you came to see Henry Mancini, and there's a time I came to see you. So, to be able to sit on this stage now is really kind of bizarre.
It's great.
And it's like, you don't have to be a genius. I can attest to that. So it's like, for all of you out there, it's like, yes, it's possible. We're all proof.
Well, thank you all. Jim Dooley, Nate Barr, Wendy and Lisa, John Ottman, Chris Young, thank you all.
Pretty darn impressive, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, give it up one time for these professionals up here.